something I don't know about, like some character design rules Sega made for their bird characters, where they like, oh, the bat characters can have extra limbs, but the bird characters can't do that. No, they have to use hoverboards to fly, because that makes sense.
Hello all you people, and welcome to this video. Yes, just this video, because this is not a Doodling with Doodle video. Because in this video, I am going to be redesigning the Babylon Rogues. Because they bug me. In my previous video, I talked about, Sonic the Hedgehog, and in that video I dedicated a whole section of me ranting about how the Babylon Rogues don't have any wings. So I thought I would redesign them. So here we are. Well, and not only will I be redesigning them, I'm also going to rewrite them just a little bit. Not a whole lot, just a tiny bit, just a little bit. Because there's not really a whole lot of things that I changed, I more so added new things. Also, if you haven't seen the previous video where I first started talking about this, don't worry, you don't need to watch that video to understand this one. It's just basically me talking about Sonic the Hedgehog and me ranting. So if you want to see that rant, then go watch it. But if you don't, then you don't need to. But with all that out of the way, let's get into it. Before we officially start, I just wanted to clarify that I don't have any problem with how the Babylon Rogues are written in both of the Sonic Riders game. Yes, I said both because there's only 2 of them. In fact, I really like them. My issue is that the Babylon Rogues are only great and relevant in the Sonic Riders vacuum. For a team that is supposed to directly oppose the Sonic's Team Sonic, they really have nothing going for them once Sonic decides to drop that hoverboard. That's partly why I want to give them the ability to fly on their own, because I feel like it would give them more, In fact, I don't really change much of the Babylon's characters. I just add more things. I guess that is changing them, but anyways, I still keep most of their pre-existing traits. I just add more to it and give them more cool stuff. Stuff that I feel will make them more interesting. And I feel like the main thing is giving them the ability to fly would give the Babylon Rogues a little bit more edge. Because if they lose their boards, then that's it. They're grounded. But if they don't need their boards to fly, then they'll still have an escape option, because the Babylon Rogues are still thieves, and thieves need more than one way to get out of a sticky situation. So in my little rewrite, I will still be keeping their boards, because that's a huge and very huge part of their identity. However, they don't need the boards to fly, they just use the boards to fly faster. Although I think Jet would still be able to fly fast, he just, the board will help him fly even faster. In my version, the hoverboards can also just outright fly too. I don't know if they could do that already or not, but anyways, they can fly, not just hover. Also, keep in mind the changes that I make are not for gameplay wise, so it's just all for purely story's sake and for characters. Another thing I would change is that I would make the Babylon Rogues, in the whole, just one of the best thieves in their world. Doing that would give the Babylon Rogues a little bit more credibility, and also would make them more of a challenge to deal with. Because Jet's theme song is literally called Catch Me If You Can. So with a theme song like that, you think he has to be pretty good, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the Babylon Rogues need to succeed in all their heists. Just most of them, and the ones they don't succeed, they don't get caught either. And if they happen to get caught, they would be in jail for less than a day. But that's what I would change about the rogues, overall. Now I think I would like to get into them separately and how would I rewrite them. And also this portion I'd also be talking about their individual designs too. So the first one I'm gonna start off with is Jet the Hawk, because he's the leader of the Babylon Rogues. Now how would I rewrite him? Here's the thing. Jet is one of my favorite Sonic rivals. One of the reasons I like him is because unlike Sonic's other rivals, Jet doesn't have a tragic or deep backstory. For example, Shadow's best friend was killed, Silver comes from a terrible dark future, Knuckles is the last of his tribe, and Blaze was forced to run a kingdom, her kingdom, from a young age. And Jet has none of that going for him, and I just find that hilarious and also kind of interesting, because he just does what he does because of money. That's all he wants is the money, and I just And it's kind of a breath of fresh air, to be honest. I think it's a breath of fresh air because Sonic isn't friends or allies with Sonic. Like, Sonic's other rivals are pretty much his friends or allies, but Jet is neither of those. I mean, the only time he really works with Sonic if it's in his best interest. Plus, I find it also interesting that Jet is one of the only rivals that already valued like teamwork and friendship from the start. Because usually the other rivals like kind of learn that along the way, but Jet kind of knows that from the start. Because we don't really see him working by himself. Whenever he's around, it's usually with the other rogues. Plus, like, he really does care for his team. Whenever he gets an option to, like, abandon them, he always sticks by their sides because he is their leader, and a good leader always sticks with their team. And it's all these things is what, in my opinion, makes him a good rival to Sonic. But however, he could be better. Even though I love Jet in the Riders games, my issue with him is basically what I mentioned before with the rogues overall, is that they're only great in the Riders vacuum. So my fix for this is to make Jet someone that's actually a challenge, like especially outside of the games, you know? Someone who's not only a challenge just on the board, but just can give Sonic flack whenever. Someone that just doesn't only challenge Sonic with speed, but also challenges Sonic in other ways. And so, what I propose is to make Jet smarter than Sonic. And I don't mean in the way that Tails and Eggman are smarter than Sonic. I mean make him more crafty. He's a thief after all, so it makes sense that he would be able to come up with plans to outsmart his enemies. Doing this would make up for the fact that Jet is not as strong as other rivals in Sonic. It would also propose a challenge to Sonic that he can't just power through. Because most of the time how Sonic solves his problem is usually through the power of friendship, or just, you know, being outright stronger than his opponent, because with his speed and everything. So we know the power of friendship isn't going to work with him because Jet already has a team and he already has friends. Plus, if Jet is more crafty and smarter than Sonic, he would be able to outsmart Sonic in ways that his speed won't be able to help him, coming up with strategies and plans that he won't need to be faster than him. This would force Sonic to learn new ways about going about his plans instead of just trying to like run through his problems like he does with everything. This could also be really interesting because Sonic could underestimate Jet at first until, well, I was gonna say Jet pulls the rug out from underneath him, but he would probably steal it. I would still keep all of his flaws and his pre-existing traits, especially Jet's ego. One of Jet's biggest flaws is that he has a really big ego, and that ends up actually being his downfall. When Sonic beats him in a race and Sonic actually gives Jet the artifact that belongs to his people, Jet gets like really mad that Sonic did that. And so it's basically his ego that causes him to also underestimate people too, and not respect them very much. So I think the biggest lesson that Jet would learn, and that he does actually learn this in the game, is respect and humility. So I'll definitely be keeping that. But yeah, kind of my biggest thing is just make him smart and crafty. You know, let him live up to his theme song, Catch Me If You Can. Make him a criminal mastermind. Make him just like brilliant. Also, I would make him a good pilot because, you know, I think that just fits. You know, they're the Babylon rogues. They're birds. They fly, so it makes sense. He would be a good pilot. For his redesign, he's the one that I actually changed the least because other than the fact that he doesn't have wings, I really like his design. And I think it's definitely one of the strongest in the series. You don't see this in the video, but when I was trying to figure out where to put the wings, my first idea was to put it on the back like it is with Rouge. But then I thought, what if I made his arms, you know, his wings? So I literally added feathers to his arms so he would fly like an actual bird, and I ended up really liking this idea. I ended up doing it like this for the rest of the rogues too. I feel like this just works better than having it on its back because it just looks a little bit awkward with their hairstyle. Another idea that I had is that what if his boots had talons on them? Talons that could retract whenever he wanted. The idea is that the talons are meant to help keep him on his board when he flies and does tricks, or even upside down when he flies upside down. And they would also have a double use of being used as weapons. You know, so he can just like kick at people and like cut them up. I don't know. This is something I ended up going with the rest of the rogues because I think it just looks cool. And there it is. there's Jet the Hawk and his full redesign. The next redesign and rewrite I'm doing is one that I changed the most, at least for her redesign. I kept her personality pretty much the same. And with that is Wave the Swallow. See, I absolutely love Wave. The amount of shade and disrespect she throws at people is insane. And it's not just because she's ignorant, like, she's a flippin' genius after all. Like, she realizes that Tails did a pretty good job at making his team's extreme gear, but she still made fun of it. You know, this was mostly to put him down to get the upper edge in the competition, but like, still, like, Wave's just a menace. She's a genius and a menace, and she knows it. She also doesn't have the same amount of honor and pride that Jet has. Like, when Jet has the most honor among these thieves, because he did admit that Sonic won in the end, and Sonic should have kept the treasure, but Wave was like, treasure is treasure, if you aren't taking it, then I will. I want that payday. This implies that she'll pretty much do anything to get what she wants. In my opinion, Wave is definitely one of the most ruthless out of the rogues, and not just in attitude, because she will rip you to shreds, but also in competition, because she did blow up Sonic's board, and I'm pretty sure that was her idea. So in my rewrite, I'm keeping all of that. I will definitely make her more like sneaky. Like, she would definitely be the type to hotwire your plane to crash while you're still in it, like while it's flying. Because I can just like imagine her on her board, like flying underneath it or something and messing with the wiring as it's still flying. But she is definitely the most responsible member of the team, because Jet can be pretty reckless at times, and well, Storm is Storm. And also, since she's the team mechanic, I would have the feeling that she would also get really upset whenever Jet or Storm like either loses or breaks their extreme gear, because that just seems like something she could do. I can imagine just like her chewing out Jet that he once again broke his board by doing some sort of crazy stunt during a heist. I would also make her like more of the ideas woman, you know, being the one to come up with the ideas for the different heists, but she lacks the leadership skills and strategies and the initiative that Jet has. So kind of like, Wave would be the one to come up with the ideas, but Jet is more of the ones to be able to put those ideas into action and actually make the plan a coherent plan. I would also make her that one person who just has dirt on everyone, and nobody knows how she gets that info. Because despite being a little songbird that looks so cute and innocent, Wave is definitely one of the more dangerous ones in the Babylon Rogues. And that's why for her redesign, I'm going to be changing her species entirely. Instead of a swallow, I would make her a shrike. Now, for those who don't know what a shrike is a species of songbird that will stab their dead prey on thorns and barbed wires. Usually they eat bugs, but there has been times where people have found small rodents and like snakes stuck on thorns by their nests. Like, these little birds are ruthless and have a heart of a raptor, and that's why I think it's perfect for Wave. For the rest of her redesign, I decided to keep her outfit and color scheme the same because, well, I like it. I, however, gave her a long ponytail because she's a mechanic after all, so she'll need to keep her feathers out of her face. And I know she already has a bandana, which I still kept, but I thought if I gave her a long ponytail, it would spice up her silhouette. And I also gave her some bangs too, because why not? I gave her the wings and talon boots just like Jet, and there we have it, Wave the Shrike. Storm was probably the hardest one to do out of all the rogues. Storm is the one that has the least going for him. Like, he's mostly just known for being the strong, dumb one. I mean, he did manage to steal information from Eggman that one time, so that's something. For his rewrite, I think what I would do is make him a good tracker. Have him be able to track all sorts of things down. This would help too, since the rogues are not just only thieves, but also treasure hunters. So they'll need someone to be able to track all those jewels and artifacts down. I think it would also be hilarious if he was like the most stealthy of the team, because despite being one of the biggest in the Babylon Rogues, he just spawns right behind people without them noticing and just scares the life out of them by accident. Like, I could just imagine Jet looking for him, and Storm would just peer behind him like, "You call it, boss?" For his redesign, I also changed his species like I did with Wave. I decided to make him a vulture. I debated an owl since I made him pretty stealthy, but I decided against it because I think a vulture would suit his personality better. I also kept his accessories and color scheme like I did with Wave. Another thing that I did keep was his body type, because he does have one of the more unique body types of the franchise. A thing I did change was his hairstyle. I ended up basing his new hairstyle off of the Egyptian vulture. Now, Egyptian vultures have like these crazy looking feathers that I think will just match Storm's crazy looking eyes that he has. Because Storm also has a very unique eyes in that they aren't oval shaped like other Sonic characters. In fact, they look like circles. What do I mean they look like circles? They are circles. Anyway, he has circles unlike on the other Sonic characters. And because they're circles, they give him this very crazy look in his eye that I just find hilarious, so I'm definitely keeping that. And the last thing is that I gave him his wings and also the talon boots too. And that is Storm the Vulture. I know I didn't come up with a whole lot of ideas like I did with the other two, but Storm is one of those characters that doesn't need a whole lot of depth. And there we have it, folks, the redesigns of the Babylon Rogues. This was definitely a bigger project than I was initially expecting, and it took me way longer than I originally thought. I still had fun with it, and I really liked how the designs turned out. Even though I kind of criticized the Babylon Rogues, I still very much like them, and they're still one of my favorite Sonic teams. Actually not saying that they need to be more of them like in the franchise. In fact, I think they work best in moderation. It's just when they do come back, and it's mostly in the comics that they're coming back, they're not exactly as great as they were in the games, and they're mostly treated as like these obstacles or just jokes. Mostly this is because they just don't stack up to the other teams as well in terms of like speed and power. But if you make them more of a group of criminal masterminds, then I think they could be actual rivals. I know Sonic already has a lot of rivals, but Tails and Knuckles don't. And I specifically think like the rivalry between Tails and Waves is seriously underutilized, because Tails doesn't really have anybody to rival him with intellect. I know there's Eggman, but Eggman's more Sonic's nemesis, and plus like Eggman lacks some of the strategy that Tails can come up with too, and I feel like Wave could be someone that could really challenge Tails. My biggest disappointment with the Babylon Rogues is that they're kind of seriously underutilized, and most of the stuff that I did change about them was just stuff that I came up with the top of my head. But I think I'll wrap this up here. Let me know what you guys thought about my redesigns and rewrites, and also if there's anything that you would change about the Babylon Rogues too. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Goodbye!